As Britain finds itself engulfed in a wave of violent unrest, the country's streets are ablaze with turmoil, both literally and figuratively. What began as an outcry against the tragic deaths of 3 young girls in Southport has escalated into a nationwide riot, with migrant hotels set alight, shops looted, and police officers under siege. The chaos sweeping across England has seen communities torn apart, as anti-migrant protesters clash violently with police and counter-demonstrators. But what fuels this explosive tension, and where might it lead next? Join us as we delve into the harrowing scenes of unrest that have gripped the nation. In a series of shocking and deeply troubling events, towns and cities across England have erupted into violence and chaos. What started as protests in response to a horrifying knife attack in Southport has spiraled into widespread riots, revealing deep-seated tensions within the UK. The Holiday Inn Express in Rotherham, South Yorkshire, became one of the epicenters of this unrest, as an enraged mob stormed the hotel, which is housing asylum seekers, and set a large fire outside. The attack on the hotel is just one instance of the growing violence that has gripped the nation, with scenes of rioters clashing with police, looting shops, and attacking innocent bystanders becoming increasingly common. In Rotherham, protesters hurled objects and pieces of wood at officers standing guard outside the hotel, resulting in at least one police officer being injured and carried away by colleagues. The situation rapidly escalated, with masked individuals and far-right agitators further inciting violence. Similar scenes played out in Middlesbrough, where over 300 protesters marched through the city, chanting inflammatory slogans and clashing with police. The streets of Bolton, Greater Manchester, also witnessed violent confrontations between protesters and police, prompting authorities to invoke emergency powers to restore order. The violent chaos that has erupted across England is both alarming and tragic, revealing a nation struggling with profound divisions. The riots, which have now spread to cities like Hull, Liverpool, Bristol, and Manchester, were ignited by the tragic deaths of 3 young girls in Southport, allegedly at the hands of a knife-wielding suspect with migrant roots. This horrific event served as a catalyst for the unrest, fueling a volatile mix of fear, anger, and xenophobia. In the wake of these killings, far-right groups seized the opportunity to exploit the situation, organizing protests that quickly devolved into riots. In Rotherham, the situation reached a fever pitch as protesters breached the police line and set fire to the migrant hotel. The flames outside the Holiday Inn Express were not just a physical manifestation of the protesters' anger, but also a symbolic act of violence against the asylum seekers housed within. The rioters' chants of "We want our country back" echoed through the streets of Middlesbrough as they marched toward the city center, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The tension between the protesters and the police escalated, resulting in multiple arrests and violent clashes. In some instances, police were forced to use dogs to hold back the crowds, while rioters retaliated by throwing slates, bottles, and other makeshift weapons. The violence has not been limited to clashes with police. In Sheffield, a disturbing video surfaced showing a group of masked individuals brutally attacking a man carrying an England flag. The unrest has also led to widespread property damage, with protesters in Middlesbrough smashing the windows of homes and cars, leaving residents terrified and outraged. The atmosphere of fear and hostility was palpable as one protester threw a piece of broken glass through a home's window, while others vandalized the area with impunity. The police struggled to maintain control as the violence escalated, leading to further injuries and arrests. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer condemned the violence in a speech, labeling it as organized violent thuggery that has no place on the streets of Britain. His words, however, did little to quell the chaos. The ongoing riots have prompted widespread criticism, not only from political leaders but also from anti-racism groups and social justice advocates. Brendan Cox, a prominent campaigner and the widower of MP Joe Cox, who was murdered by a far-right extremist, expressed his horror at the events in Rotherham. He described the actions of the rioters as an ongoing attempt to murder the men, women, and children inside by burning them alive, a sentiment that underscores the severity of the situation. As the violence continues, the strain on police forces across the country has become increasingly evident. In Bolton, Greater Manchester, police were granted additional powers under Section 60 and Section 60AA to stop and search individuals and remove face coverings used to conceal identities. These measures, while necessary to restore order, highlight the dire state of affairs as law enforcement struggles to contain the widespread unrest. The ramifications of this violence are far-reaching, with communities across England feeling the impact. In Liverpool, a community library that served as a hub for local residents and a food bank was set on fire during the riots. The loss of this vital resource is a stark reminder of the collateral damage caused by the unrest. The senseless destruction of property, combined with the physical and emotional harm inflicted on individuals, paints a bleak picture of the current state of the nation. As the UK grapples with the aftermath of these devastating riots, one thing is clear: the country is facing a critical juncture. The violence that has erupted in cities across England is not just a series of isolated incidents, but a symptom of deeper issues that must be addressed. The tragic loss of life in Southport, the attacks on migrant communities, and the clashes with police all point to a society grappling with profound divisions and tensions. How the government and the public respond to this crisis will determine the future course of the nation. Will these events serve as a wake-up call for change, or will the cycle of violence and unrest continue to escalate? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this analysis insightful, please like, subscribe, and share this video to help spread awareness. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.